Hi everyone, I'm Christine Troyano and I did Landmark many years ago, but I'm here today to discuss my possibility and of the world working together to bring people, businesses and people to work that want to work. So I'm a California native. However, the last 11 and a half years, I have lived and worked internationally in both South Korea and Indonesia as an ESL teacher, which is English as I taught, I'm sorry, I'm very nervous. I taught English as a second language in both South Korea and Indonesia over the last 11 years or so. Living around mostly locals, I have seen firsthand how desperate so many are to make a living. I have always wished that there was some way that I could use my connections, which I don't have a lot, but I have some, to connect both employers and employers both here and abroad to people that live in these third world or other countries that don't have the opportunity to work and do what they want to do. There's so many of the Indonesian men and women have traveled to other countries to work as contractors, palm plantation workers, and housekeepers, etc. And then they travel to these countries, they work for a couple years, they might come home, they might not, during the couple year contract that they have, because oftentimes when they go to work in other countries, because they can't get work in their country, their employer, like I know Indonesian men that they can't get work in their country. They're unskilled, but another country will take them to do like palm plantation work. Or there's a guy I know that is in Malaysia. He's Indonesian. He's working in Malaysia as a contractor, but he's learned these skills in Malaysia. But he hasn't come home to Indonesia in many years because the employer has their passport or they can't afford it. So, you know, they're basically leaving their families and sending money home for their families. So I've always wished there was some way that I could use my connections to connect the people and their talent to their country, right? I know guys that are screen print artists, woodworkers, contractors, street cart owners. And so many of these Indonesian men and women have traveled to other countries to work as these things. And then when they come home to their own country, they return with these skills, but only to work for a short time before they go back abroad to work, because Indonesia doesn't not recognize them, but they don't take them. They're not skilled enough to work in their own country. Other countries will take them to work in their low paying jobs, but it's good money to them. So I'm here because I wanted to reach out to all of you here to discuss the possibility of being the connector, the liaison, whereby I facilitate connecting employers to those who want to work with an emphasis on developing countries. Does that make sense? Did I just make sense? Because I've taught English abroad for all these years, and not so much in South Korea because they're a more developed and industrial country, but in these developing countries where these workers just, I mean, the disparity between the rich and the poor is just huge. And the Indonesians, they work for the day. They don't work to save. They work for enough money for the day. But these that can afford, these workers that can afford to go to different countries to work in these low-paying jobs that other countries will take them in for, it's just hard on them, because I just want them to be able to stay in their own country to work for an employer that pays them a decent wage in their own country, so they don't have to travel abroad. And that's why I'm hoping that someone somewhere in this group that I can see this possibility achieved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I I've in Indonesia, I it's I was a teacher, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not one, I'm not an investor that's there with a lot of money, but you walk around as an expat in this country and in many countries. I've realized that, and locals think that, you've got money. If you're white, you must have money. And they want to instantly be your friend because they don't have money and they're not skilled. And a lot of them don't even know how to use a computer. They don't have computers. So they're limited in how they can look for work and different things. And I just feel for them. And I just wish I could connect businesses, whether they're here or in their own country. And then whether it can go both ways. I see it going both ways. American businesses, bringing people from Indonesia and other countries to their business here, like sponsoring them to come here and work for them. Or the other way is, the American businesses or other businesses that are doing well that can afford that might be working in Indonesia or another developing country to employ the locals. I mean, I just wish to see that happen somehow.
Great.
I have reached out to a couple companies. I've reached out to a company called Mass, which is Mass Design Group, and they loved my idea, but they're not in Indonesia right now. They're working in Rwanda, and I saw them on 60 Minutes several months ago, and I reached out to them on LinkedIn, and one of the the head people there. And she said that, that my idea is great, but they're working in Rwanda right now. And what they do is bring, like during COVID, they built schools that were naturally ventilating. So they're working in tropical countries, right? So they have sun and heat all year. So they can have open classrooms. So the ventilation goes through well. So they're working. That's just one of their things, is that they're working on bringing those kinds of schools to different parts of the world so that kids can learn with clean ventilation, clean air. And then another group that I contacted is Build Change, who is actually in Indonesia, but they only have 2 people. And so they're not able to scale like I'm thinking of. So, the United States needs these immigrants or these people that are willing to do jobs that we aren't willing to do. And I know a ton of people who would love to come here. It's just the barrier of getting here, whether it's a visa or speaking English or whatever it is. They just need that push, that lift, that connection. And I want to be that middleman, that middle person that helps them along to become successful.
Right.
That's what I have to say.
Okay. Robert's had his hand up for a while.
I'm sorry, Robert? Okay.
Hi, Christine. Are you particularly concentrating on Indonesia, or do you have other countries in your sights?
I've lived in Indonesia. That's what I know the best, but I'm open to, I'd love to see it everywhere. I'm not discriminating. Yeah.
Okay, just to get clear, so you'll be interested in creating more employment opportunities in Indonesia for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That would fulfill that'd be one way of fulfilling on your possibility, right?
Yes.
And you're also interested in creating employment opportunities in other countries for people who live in Indonesia. Is that right?
No, for people in that country. Like if it was in Thailand, creating employment opportunities for the Thai people, or to local to that country. Yeah, you talked
about people going to America.
Yeah.
For work. Is that part of your project?
Yeah. Because I just, especially over the pandemic, it was like, we need workers right now. Our unemployment is so low, but there are so many.
Oh, look, you could do both. It's not really an issue, but there are large institutions, particularly government institutions in Indonesia, whose remit is to try and develop the economy. and
Yes.
to stimulate jobs.
Yes.
Now, one thing you could do is to start to talk to them about what they see as missing from their point of view, being able to create more jobs in Indonesia. What's missing? Could be investment. There may be ways that you can intervene to support what they're already doing.
Mhm.
There's a lot of committed people in Indonesia trying to create jobs for people.
Yes.
So it's one thing you could look at as a possible suggestion.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Have you been to Indonesia? Do you know Indonesia?
My mother was born in Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
wasn't. I was born in Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
I now live in the Philippines, which is not that far away.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And we
Wow,
have
wonderful.
similar, the economy is similar.
Yes. Yes.
So the
Yeah.
situation is very similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've actually just, I just got accredited as a supplier of leadership and management training to the Philippine government. So,
Wow. Very cool.
there's an opportunity to transform their ability to get the job done.
Very good. Thank you. Good. Congratulations.
So, it's transformation in the Philippine government's
Yeah.
beginning to happen here slowly.
Slow. Yeah, definitely. It takes time. I know. Thank you.
So,
Anyone else? Uh-huh. Hi, Michael.
Christine, and I don't have a virtual hand raising on my screen today.
Okay.
Have you been able to find companies that have businesses here in the States, but also in Indonesia?
I can hear you,
or-
Michael. I can't anyway. Is that me?
Can anybody else hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can.
All right, good, thanks. For companies that have business here, but also in, let's say, Indonesia, or the countries you're thinking of, where they can sponsor the indigenous from Indonesia, train them here to a level that then they can go home and bring those skills to home. And not
Yes.
that they're not good enough, that they actually excel what they would have gotten in Indonesia. We train them here, send them back home with their skills. Because too many people come to America, get trained, and stay here. And the country loses their resource.
Right. Right. I know that happens in Korea. I hear that all the time. South Korea.
So I'm not sure where you can find a list, and it's got to be the Google machine to find companies that have offices in both countries, that they would work hand in hand. Obviously, Coca-Cola has an office in the States, but also in Indonesia. They can train, and whether it's craftsmen or contractors or whatever it is, to bring them here, pay them a decent salary or house them, whatever, train them beyond what they would have had, and send those skills back home so they can be with their families in their country.
Yeah. Because the people I went to visit my friend in Malaysia over one of the breaks, and coming back to Indonesia after a couple of weeks, I was like the only expat. It was a whole plane full of workers, male workers, coming back to Indonesia over Ramadan or something. And I was like the only female expat on that flight with all these guys. And that was another thing that just dawned on me. When I was on that plane, I'm like, oh man, if we could just keep them in their country, but whether it's train them in the US or train them locally, but just keep them in their own country.
Even better. Yeah. And maybe the American company have more funds to support that training over there.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Good idea. Thank you very much.
Penny?
I don't have that hand raising thing, so I'm going to raise my hand this way. Christine, I don't know anything about Indonesia, I have to say. But one thing we do in Cameroon is, the United States is always desperate for nursing and medical personnel. And I kind of, my thing is always we need the nurses in Cameroon ourselves. But once in a while, it's worth, sending people over to the United States, have them work a few years, make money, and come back home, and then use their skills, in their local hospitals, and use the money they can save to help their families, get a little bit more secure. So for the United States, there are specific different categories in immigration for nurses.
Okay.
I don't know how Indonesian people, how that level is, so you would know better.
Yeah, their hospitals are pretty full. They've got a lot of nurses. They've got a good, I've seen a lot of hospitals as a patient, and they have quite a good staff, but they could always use more. And that's another, I'll look into that to see how they could expand over there too. Because nursing, there are so many that are sick, and just like in Cameroon and in developing countries, they die from things we can prevent. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Penny?
My older brother's stepdaughter and her family worked in Indonesia, and I think it was for AT&T.
Oh.
Now, they were American. So, but the thing is that telecommunication companies might be a source as well. I mean, they mentioned Coca-Cola, that kind of, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, places like that. Very large international corporations might have some way. They might have their own foundation that, you could work with to, or their HR department or something.
And yeah, over there it's Telkomsel. AT&T, like their telecommunications is Telkomsel, and they're huge. So yeah, I'll look into that too. That would be great. This has gone around in my mind for so long, and since the pandemic started, and I was in Bali when lockdown here first started, and when I was teaching Chinese students. I had worked both in the classroom and teaching online. I had two jobs for a while I taught in Indonesia, teaching in the classroom Indonesian students, but then my second job was teaching Chinese students online, and through earthquakes and pandemic and everything. So I saw firsthand with my Chinese students how the pandemic was affecting them, because it affected them first, and the cancellation of Spring Festival and all these things. But I don't even know. These guys, the kids in the classroom, both in China and in Indonesia, I just felt for them, even though my job and nothing much changed for me during the pandemic. When I was first over there, the first year of the pandemic, I was working the same and everything. I was just inundated with all these thoughts about what I could do for the world and how I could be of service for the world. And this is the thought that just kept coming back and back to me was, how can I, work for Microsoft or something and drops computers in the middle of Africa for kids that don't have internet, and, things like that, because I just want to do good in the world. I just want to be of service. And this idea that I just presented was the one that just kept coming back to me over and over as like the way to do good in the world, be my thing. This would be my thing.
Great.
So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you, Christine. And as it happens, this timing is working out well. So it's now time for the takeaways. So for the folks that are listening, what are you taking away from this? Yeah, go ahead.
So what I'm taking away is, Christine, that you are sort of at the beginning of it, and that is so exciting. You are still looking around how to get your feet on the ground and all this. So basically what I've done, 15 years ago, it is an exciting time. Enjoy it. I know it's a lot of uncertainty. You don't know, swim with the river, go, talk to everyone. I mean, really, if they listen, great. If they don't listen, just move on to the next person. But here tonight you have a committed listenership group, so which is great. But yes, I encourage you to go for it. It is, your goals are clear. Keep going.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, who else? Angela?
Yeah, really what I hear again is that vision and passion for making a difference in our communities. And it's not just a local community, but it's a global community, which is awesome. And it's very well represented here in this group too. So.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know. We were the perfect pair tonight, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Yep. Robert?
Yeah, Christine, I'd be happy to spend a bit of time with you if you want, helping you sort out priorities, your thoughts, plans of action, if you want to do that.
Sure.
So,
Okay. Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, let's
just
do that. I would love to connect with you. Can you leave your information in the chat? And
sure.
or
I'll put my email address in there.
or I'll put mine in too. So my
Okay,
email.
you put your email address in there and I'll copy that.
I will put my information in.
And Robert's going to be a speaker at one of our, I don't know, Tara, if you guys have scheduled, I think you're talking later, but at one of our future possibility pitches.
Yeah,
Sure.
Robert and I have an appointment on Friday to talk.
Yeah, let's check in there, Tara, anyway.
Okay,
All right.
good. Yeah.
Thanks.
So and we're all going to be invited, right, to the future event.
Yeah.
Anyone you want to come to, you're welcome to come to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before we veer too off that path, is there anything else for Christine? Okay, awesome. So I want to thank Rolande and Christine. Thank you both very much for being with us tonight, or this morning, or whatever time it is where you're at. So to the question of future events, yes. So we're going to schedule these at right now. What we're planning on is once a month on the third Thursday of the month, so that we'll have a regular schedule. Now that may change.
Third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday. Sorry.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Thank you. Tara's keeping me honest and on track. So we will have them in the future, and we'll send out more information on that. I'm not sure. Do we have both people lined up for the next time, Tara? We don't yet, do we?
We do, yeah.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on those?
Of course, I'm here without my notes.
Oh, sorry.
We do have two people already scheduled.
All right, we'll send out that information.
Yeah.
And so what else? So a couple of things. One is you will be, so by registering tonight, we'll have your email address, so we'll be able to send emails about the upcoming events. I would ask you, if you don't mind, check out landmarkgrads.com. Scott Herbst and I started the company and are putting a lot of effort into it, trying to build the community. And one of the things that we found is it's really hard to build a community if it's just two people doing it. So spread the word, let people know. And
will you put that into the chat as well?
Sure.
Where to go, just so people have it handy. It's always handy.
It's there.
That's our ask.
And if anybody is interested in presenting in the future, see if I can. I should be better organized on this, but I'm going to pull up our website here quickly and show you where to go. So this is the Landmark Grads website, and under this events and offers menu, there is an application, and it's short. There's like 5 or 6 questions. We want to know who you are and what you're up to, basically. So, and then Tara follows up with people to find out more and get people scheduled into calls. So, so I guess that's it for now. I want to thank everybody for being here. Anybody have any questions or anything that they want to ask before we go?
Can I just say, I just want to say thank you to all of you for listening, and also for what you put in the chat. The comments, the support, and the questions therein are really great. Thank you.
Yeah, Jamie, you're presumably aware of all the different landmark networking groups on Facebook and LinkedIn where you could publicize your website.
I am aware of a lot of them. It's, one of the things that I try to be careful of, Robert, is to not put, a lot of the groups say no commercial promotions or, promoting your business or directly or indirectly. So I do maybe err on the side of caution on that.
I see. Okay. Well, there are specific ones that I run specifically for business networking. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Cause Landmark has sanctioned us and knows what we are doing. And, there's that agreement on not being solicited in any way, shape, or form. But as I said to Dr. Hodel, it's like, who else would you want to do business with than Landmark graduates? So this is kind of why we've, created this place to network on that. So thank you for that offer, Robert, for giving us a pathway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Landmark Graduate Business Networking group on Facebook where once a month you can post about your business. And the same thing on LinkedIn.
Okay.
There's also the TMLP worldwide, groups. And so, I mean, what I was going to say was, I don't know, but it seems to me like maybe once a month having we're the Landmark Grads website, and we're supporting people to connect after, maybe people are still participating, but I kind of stopped participating because it never went anywhere related to a community unless you happen to be in one of the programs. And after 16 years I moved on and I'm doing other things, but I love the clarity, the velocity, and all of the things that you get out of Landmark. I just want to use them in real life, not necessarily in a program, right? Yeah. So, and I think that's like, it occurs for me, like that's what this is. I had never heard of it. I don't even know where I saw this, but somehow I ended up getting someplace where I saw the possibility pitch event. So I think that there would be a lot of people who would be very interested in creating community around Landmark graduates out in the world. Yeah. And especially something like the possibility pitch. I just think, there's a marketing effort, right? And if you're saying, yeah, go for it, go market, I got cool, no problem. But I also think you might want to have a community event once a month that we can shove people to, right? Go find out about this cool thing.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a networking call coming up Saturday the 27th.
Okay.
And that one just for people to get on and talk about what they're up to, sort of like this, but briefer. We had a series of those a while ago and then stopped. That's the other, like I said before, Scott and I are trying to drive everything and we just sort of hit capacity. But thank you for that, because we are starting to bring these things back, and Tara's keeping me on it. She's the one that said we need to get them on the calendar. So it is the community building itself, but let people know, because we've talked to a lot of people, a lot of graduates who have said, well, I'm not really participating at Landmark anymore. Is it okay if I come to these? Yeah, because it is. Landmark's not just about being in a seminar or a program, right? It's like you want it to be in your life. So, and there were, I'm not actively participating in seminars right now. I'm in wisdom. But there were 20 years when nearly everybody I hung out with was graduates
Mhm.
because, you know, it's fun to hang out with graduates. You know,
And as fun as that is, we want to honor people's times.
Oh,
We're at
and it's
7:30. Yes, sir,
7:30.
we promise. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Tar. So, all right. Well, thanks,
Good night,
everybody.
all.
And hopefully we'll see you the next time.
You bet.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you all. Bye.
Great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, wait. Great job, Jamie.
Thanks. Christine, good job. I'm gonna hold on.
Did I look like I was sweating?